Welcome to another YouTube video. Today we've got the topic of British politeness. It's a massive one. It's a stereotype about Brits that we're very polite. But is it fake? Is it real? We're going to answer that question in today's video, because I think it's a topic that comes up often with foreigners where they feel like it's not real. The smile, the sorry, the how are you, the could I, the would you mind, because some other cultures might not have that politeness embedded in their language. It can bring up the question in their minds, is it actually just a facade? Is it fake? Do they mean it? Are they actually nice? Are they actually friendly? Or is it fake? Because surface level, it sounds polite, but is it real? Because you've got the sorries, the pleases, the thank yous. But is it, oh, sorry, I hate you? Is it, thank you, I could have done it myself? Is it, please, I really need that done? Is it, no worries, but really I didn't want to do it? That can all feel very nice on the surface, but there could also be that strange feeling of it not being genuine. And I think that's where the confusion can come from. You hear all these lovely, polite words. Maybe people even add a smile to them, but you're not always sure that people mean them. So that begs the question, is it fake or is it real? So let's get into it. So one of the first things that people notice when they come to UK is how often people say sorry. Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. And I don't mean just when things go wrong. We say sorry loads, because this can be in situations where nothing actually happens. For example, you could be in a shop, sitting down, you move your chair back, you almost hit their chair, you look round, they look round, and you might say sorry. Or equally, you could be walking down the street, you're looking down at your phone, you look up, next thing you know, you've got someone coming towards you, you avoid them, and as you go past, you might both say sorry. Or you might be on a train, someone might be kind of blocking your way, and you might just say sorry as you squeeze past. At some point, it can seem like a reflex, because for us, it can almost mean I'm trying to not cause any problems. Where it's not really an apology, it's like the pre-apology for any inconvenience that could have happened or may happen. So it's not necessarily something massive like, oh, so sorry. It's kind of like a small apology sometimes. The same thing kind of happens with thank you. We don't just say thank you for big things. We say thank you for small things. For example, you say thank you when someone holds open the door for you. Equally, if there isn't much space between, let's say, two tables and someone's chair is quite far out and you're trying to get through, they might tuck their chair in and you say thank you. Or even someone acknowledging you might say thank you. So therefore, it's not necessarily just deep, deep gratitude, but it's part of an interaction. It sort of smooths things over. Someone does something nice, you thank them. You potentially inconvenience someone, you say sorry. Then again, you got the topic of softening, how we soften so many things in English. Because here's the reality, we have such a thing as softening. We soften our language a lot in the UK because directness can feel too much sometimes. So we can wrap it in polite language. So I understand why you can feel like it's fake, like it's not real, like it's not true. Because instead of saying stuff like, no, that's wrong, instead we would say, that's not quite right. Or that's interesting can almost mean anything. It can often be more in the context and the way someone says something. So you can feel what sorry and thank you and cheers and please, what they actually mean through the context, through the way it's said. But that being said, I can see why people might think it's fake. But it's not fake, and I'm not biased. Well, 95% of the time it's not fake. And I think it's got something to do with something quite specific, because it's not about expressing your true emotions all the time. It's about situation management. It's about keeping things comfortable, about avoiding tension, and about making interactions easier, smoother, especially with people you don't know, with strangers and people you don't know so well. So for us, these words are context dependent because politeness is about three separate things. So it's one, about protecting both people, two, avoiding conflict, and three, making sure that everyday interactions are easy. So let's dive into each one of them very quickly. So one, a lot of this politeness is about protecting both people in the interaction, because in our culture, if you say things to you directly, it can potentially make the other person feel very uncomfortable. Not only that, it can make you yourself feel uncomfortable having to say it. So instead of saying that doesn't work, it can feel very personal. We would say, I'm not sure that works, or sorry, I'm not sure it works. Give it a try. Because what if you say it doesn't work, but then it works? Is that other person meant to say, well, it does work, mate? And then you're left feeling bad? Or is the other person going to uncomfortably have to say, oh, I think it does work actually? So often we soften, we make it more polite. This reduces risk in the interaction and makes things kind of safer, protecting both parties. Then linked to number one, it helps avoid conflict. Instead of coming at it directly, you kind of step around it. You don't always say no. You say stuff like, I'm not sure, maybe, we'll see, ooh, I'll think about it. Sometimes those phrases do mean that, but sometimes they don't. We kind of understand what that person means without making things awkward. But this is where knowing the person is important. Whenever they say maybe, it means no, really, they're not going to come. Whenever they say they'll think about it, they don't do it. Or they always say they're not sure, but they always come anyway, or sometimes they come. And thirdly, this politeness, when it comes into practice in everyday public situations like pubs, cafes, shops, restaurants. It just kind of makes things move more smoothly. We don't really think about what we say, it just keeps things ticking. Everyone kind of understands what the deal is. And there's that shared understanding of how social interactions work. The politeness is so embedded that we get the deal. We know it sometimes to smooth things over. We know if someone holds the door open for us that it's an act of kindness and we should thank that. We know that someone accidentally sat in our seat and they didn't really mean it, and therefore they apologize. It's a social kind of cushion. It softens things. It pleases people because this directness, this potential rudeness rouses something in us. Living abroad over the last decade, I've come across it here and there in various countries. For example, with queuing, where people just jump ahead in the queue, don't say anything. It feels rude. It feels like that person thinks they're better than the rest. It feels like that person thinks they're more important than everybody else. Or I've had plenty of times where I've held open the door for someone, an act of kindness, and they just walk through as if I don't exist. And that feels ever so disrespectful because it's drilled into you to say thank you and please and give back to people that are kind to you and recognize the importance of other people's lives, like when queuing, for example. Sure, you might have something more important to do and therefore you need to skip the queue, but you should at least check in with those other people because who knows, they might be in more of a rush than you. They're just being more respectful. That lack of checking in or lack of forethought will rub people up the wrong way here. So what kind of situations might you come across in daily life where you should be a bit more polite? One, if you bump into each other. For us, if you bump into someone, usually both people will say sorry, even if it's clearly one person's fault, because it's not about just who's to blame. It's about softening the situation, smoothing things over a bit. Another example, when you say no, so someone might invite you directly somewhere, and you wouldn't necessarily just say no. You might say something like, sorry, I think I'll give it a miss. Or I'm not sure, I'll have to think about it. Maybe they do have to think about it. They're not sure yet. It's not technically always a no, but sometimes that can be a no. Another time to be polite is giving feedback. Feedback, best to be softened at least a bit. Usually it's personal to that individual, so they can hold that feedback close to heart. So even when it's good, we might say, yeah, it's not bad. Or it's quite good can mean it's really good. So this is where it's about living these situations because it can be super confusing. It's stuff that you have to read into by knowing the person, by living these situations. So you might be like, is so confusing. It does feel fake on one hand, but it kind of feels real on the other. I'm still not convinced. And for me, that's completely normal because it's not just about the words, as I've said in countless other videos. Our communication isn't just through the words we use, but the way we say the words, the situation, the people, how well we know the people. So that, what I just said, comes down to people expecting words to just be literal in English, and you saying something and expecting it to mean that exact thing. That's not exactly how it works with us. The meaning is in the tone, the meaning is in the context. You have to read into what's implied, not just what is explicit. Words for us are not everything. And that's where the second part of English comes in. It's not just the words you have to learn. It's also about the culture, the way things are done, the tone, the subcommunication. They all mesh into one. So for me, as a native Brit, I don't think it's fake because you're reading too literally into the words. It's a different way of communication. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different understanding of the world, a different way of interacting amongst people. Because for us, what you say isn't always what you mean. Other factors come into play sometimes. You might have to keep things cordial, comfortable. You might want to avoid certain unnecessary tension or awkwardness to just make everyday interactions simpler, easier, and lighter. So once you start to understand that and you can link them to other topics like British small talk, like British comedy, like how we compliment, you can start to see a familiar pattern playing out of it not just being about the literal words that people speak, that people write down. There are deeper meanings to things. And then once you start to get that, everything starts to make a bit more sense. So I think we'll end the video there. I think that's enough for one day. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you took one or two things from it. If you like the video, obviously like it, subscribe, comment. Maybe there are some other topics of confusion that you would like clearing up in future videos, so comment those suggestions below. And I'll see you in the next one.